Welcome to Who Wrote That Up For You, a daily podcast that shines a light on the American justice system and its role in empowering the powerful to take from you. The justice system is the only branch of your government where an individual, rather than the collective, can make the system act for you. It puts power in the individual's hands, but it's broken and being used against you at a time when you need it most.
And we are live on Who Wrote That Up For You. Today is Friday, October 14th, 2022. I'm Sonia Ebron, a co-founder at Courtroom 5.
And I'm Deborah Sloan, the other co-founder at Courtroom 5.
Got a marvelous show lined up for you today. In a few moments, we will speak with Erin Levine at Hello Divorce. It's a highly innovative solution for dissolving a marriage at much lower cost than you might expect, and that's conventionally available. A little further along, we will speak with Scott Schneider. He's had some experiences in court and a perspective on the way our courts operate that you'll want to hear. Before we get there, though, Deborah, what's on your mind today? What's the issue of today?
Well, I want to talk about something that came up a little bit earlier in our podcast life, making money from arresting people or making money from poor people. I was thinking about the comedians Eric Andre and Clayton English, and they're accusing the Atlanta airport basically and the county of Clayton in Georgia of racial profiling. But it's a bigger picture of municipalities relying on the poorer populations to basically support them when they don't have a reliable tax base. And so it's almost like, the poor taking care of the rich. And there's just something, unfortunately, very American about that, but very wrong about that.
My goodness, that is, yeah, we could spend a lot of time on that. I used to think, it was just those small flyover cities that
Mhm.
practice that, but some fairly large metro areas are doing the same thing. It's terribly unfortunate. It reminds me of brief period of time I spent in environmental justice work, and you find the same sort of situation. These big polluters citing their facilities in low income, disproportionately Black and brown communities because there wasn't the social or economic or political
Power.
power to fight back, against them. And so, yeah, it's the same thing here. Instead of adequately
Mhm.
taxing people making lots and lots of money in these localities, yeah, they use fees and traffic stops and that sort of thing to
Mhm.
operations. That's sad. It's a bad look for a country, that's a standard bearer for democracy here. Definitely would love to see more people addressing those sorts of situations in the courts. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
and related to what we do, court fees.
right.
Just
Yeah,
just sometimes they can be exorbitant.
exactly. Exactly. Same story. But we'll
Mhm.
take that up on a different day. Who wrote that up for you is sponsored by Courtroom 5. At Courtroom 5, we believe the courts belong to the people, in particular to the people who use them. And we, the people, are coming to claim our courts. So if you are in court without a lawyer, or if you need to sue someone and can't find a lawyer to represent you, get yourself over to courtroom5.com. Try a limited version of our services for free, and we hope to provide some relief for you there. At this time, it's my great pleasure to welcome onto the show Erin Levine at Hello Divorce. Erin, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yes. Hi, friends. Great
How,
to be here. Happy
how,
Friday.
didn't I just see you earlier in the week at
I
Combine?
think I think we did in Nashville, and that was amazing. But it feels like years ago because I got home to a family full of COVID, So I've just been like
Wow.
in it.
Yeah, yeah. My goodness, my
That was
goodness.
fun though.
Well, I hope everybody is okay there. I was excited to see you at CleoCon. I didn't know lawyers could party quite so well. So that's great to
Oh
see.
boy. Yeah, it's the first thing we're taught in law school.
Yeah,
For real though. But yeah, it was so great to see you, and the family is on the mend.
yeah.
So
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
mhm.
Erin, tell us about Hello Divorce and how you got started with it. What drove you to develop it?
Sure. Hello Divorce is a platform that makes the divorce process easier, kinder, and a lot less expensive. So our consumers use self-service tools, tech-enabled services to help them get through that legal process in approximately 1/3 the typical time and 1/10 the cost of the sort of lawyer up and fight status quo. Um, so I got started. I was a lawyer for 16 years. I actually became a lawyer after my own experience with the justice system. I am a survivor of abuse, of rape. I turned the perpetrator in. And while I got justice in like the traditional sense, and I was very fortunate for that, the whole system felt awful. Like the end result was overshadowed by the experience along the way. It was inefficient. It was combative. It was scary. I felt really alone. And I didn't want anyone to feel like that. And so I became a lawyer, and family law made sense, right? Like I get to help people through hard times. Like that's kind of like who I am. And I did it, and I grew a firm. And ultimately, this Bay Area firm became a multi-million-dollar business that I scaled way back to open a new business that might, in fact, put the old one out of business. Um, and the reason for that is because I felt like this complicit participant in the system that was routing people through war. I knew we could do better. I also knew that most lawyers wanted to do better too. They didn't like being caught up in litigation and battles. They didn't like the way it made them feel. But in order to really do some change, I kind of had to like step way back and reimagine how we walk through the family law process.
Extraordinary, extraordinary. And we'll share more information about Hello Divorce with our audience briefly. Many people think of what you've described there as legal tech, but we sort of know legal tech more as law firm tech. It's tech that helps law firms be more efficient, maybe helps consumers hire lawyers more readily. But it doesn't really solve the justice gap, the problem of people not getting access to the courts. Or does it? What do you think about legal tech as opposed to what you're doing?
Well, I think most of legal tech, especially legal tech that has been funded, is, you're right, really centered around making lawyers more efficient, around helping people find lawyers and hire them, which I do appreciate, but that's very different from what you and I do. We are working directly with the consumer to help them resolve a major life and legal issue without a lawyer because they probably can't afford one, or with a lawyer at a reduced cost, at a cost that is, if not reduced, at least fixed, so that we can plan and finance that. So I think of it, of course, like, you know, as legal tech has always been something really, really near and dear to my heart. But when I think about who we are, I generally think about it from a justice tech standpoint, because access to justice is certainly our number one goal. And to a certain extent, there's a fintech element because in divorce, it's a major financial transformation. And not only is there the issue of helping the 75% of people who wouldn't be able to hire a lawyer to begin with, but there's the huge wealth disparity that comes after divorce between men and women. And to the extent that we can help minimize that impact and then ultimately set people up for a better next chapter, that is our absolute goal. So you have the divorce, and you need money. And then a lot of people are now thrown into this game where there's predatory loans and scams being sent at them. To the extent that we can help people avoid that, to me, that there's a fintech element to that. So justice tech, fintech, and then, like, of course, legal tech, because we're all in this space of trying to make law better.
Fantastic. And speaking of justice tech, so Hello Divorce, like Courtroom 5, is one of the founding members of the Justice Technology Association, this new trade group working to deliver do-it-yourself services to legal consumers. All right. And what do you think about the power of putting those kinds of tools, these kinds of tools, into the hands of consumers to not only this gap, but just to also disrupt the way legal is practiced?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that taking a step back, the Justice Technology Association is so important on so many levels. To be able to, like, pull together and work together towards, like, many of these big issues is wildly important. But I also think, like, at our core, who we are is an advocate for consumers. And I think that most people probably don't know all the barriers that are put in front of founders like us to be able to provide the tools and services that they need to have meaningful access to their rights. And so, like, to the extent that we can also continue to build that awareness and put some pressure on the powers that be, and maybe some press, and build allies, I think that it can really help. Like, people want injustice to be exposed. And it's not just that, like, lawyers got there first or lawyers made the system really complicated. It's that some lawyers and regulators are actively preventing others to come in and, like, make these solutions and make them available to consumers. That's the part that, like, infuriates me most. And I think that if people learn and find out about that, that there's going to be a lot more pressure the other way instead of just on us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so happy to see you taking on that regulatory challenge and just treading a path that the rest of us will eventually have to do, but you are making it easier, and just really appreciate you for that. Let me share your website then, hellodivorce.com, with our viewers. Erin,
Thank
where
you.
else can people online?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Erin Levine. You can find me at Twitter, Erin Levine _. And our Hello Divorce account on Instagram is just at Hello Divorce. So if you are thinking about going through it or just completed a divorce and you're looking for some support, both tactical, strategic, and emotional, it's a great spot to catch up with us on.
Fantastic. Highly recommended. For anyone with these issues. Erin, thank you for joining Who Wrote That Up for You.
Thank you.
I know that you've got a heavy lift ahead to get nationwide, and we're going to keep track of your progress and have you back again real soon. Thanks so much.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, fantastic there. Deborah, who won yesterday's quiz, if anyone? And what do you have teed up for us today? Deborah, I think you're on mute.
It's a true or false question. Yesterday, the third person who came in on it got it right. True or false? A response is a document sent to the judge opposing a request from the other side. That is false. Like motions, responses are filed with the clerk, not sent to the judge. So, not a trick question, but maybe a little difficult for people. The winner is Gabriel S.
That was definitely a trick question. Congratulations to Gabriel S. there. I think we have to. We must be getting a lot of winners these days. 'Cause you've made this You've made these questions more difficult.
That's a
I,
true or false, 50-50. Okay.
congratulations to Gabriel there.
Okay. Today's quiz. During which stage of litigation is a motion for directed verdict typically filed? Is it during the answer stage, discovery, during the trial stage, or during the appeal stage? If you want to participate in this quiz, send your responses to quiz@courtroom5.com.
Well, fantastic. Hopefully, we will see a winner there on Monday. At this time, I'd like to welcome onto the show Scott Snyder. Uh, Scott, welcome to Who Wrote This Up? Who wrote that up for you? Thank you for joining us. Scott, if you can hear me there, I think we've got an audio problem there. Scott, not able to hear you there, so
Is
looks
your
like
mic
we'll.
on? Is your mic on?
Yeah, Scott, looks like we'll need to reschedule you and just make sure that we check your tech ahead of time. So sorry for that. But it's so great to have folks like Scott who are willing to share their perspectives. I think on another day we'll be able to get some insight on just the way that the courts need to better treat pro se litigants. At the same time,
Exactly.
it is fantastic to be able to see solutions like Hello Divorce and many of the other justice tech solutions putting power in the hands of consumers. So, want to see much more of that for everyone.
It would be nice if we could get her back on to talk a little bit about how it works, how the tech works, because sometimes tech can be difficult for people, and so the easier it is to understand what's going on because they're already stressed out from they're having a divorce,
Yep,
so they're already stressed out, they're nervous, and so the easier the tech can be, the more supportive it can be as well.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, fantastic. That's all we have for you today. As usual, Deborah and I will take the weekend off, and we'll see you again on Monday. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Are you feeling beleaguered, angry, or afraid, as if things are spinning out of control and you're powerless to stop them? It's easy to just let things slide and hope they don't get worse, but they often do get worse. The thing is, you're not powerless. Our courts belong to us, and their purpose is to give power to the powerless. Don't let your grievances pile up without redressing them. You can handle this in court. Or, if someone takes you to court, you can take them to school.